Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at you with like the 5th time we've tried to do this video. So hopefully this one will work. Any babies? No? Any weird jambalaya going on up here? Maybe. But here we go, okay? So, surprises update. What's the update on the surprises? Well, we did get a surprise last night. And it was different than we thought. Surprise.
Yeah.
And what was the surprise? The surprise was that we really felt from the Lord, like the church that we went to, because we know we were doing the summer harvest, and we're like, ooh, the summer harvest, this is like connecting with God's people. I still think that's all very true.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, 100% true. But maybe where we took a little detour is thinking that, like, that's the place that God's going to plant us, and that's where we're going to be. And I was just all in, you know, just like, well, all right, God's opened up a door. He's opened up the, you know, the gate for us to go into this church and just, all right, we're going to fellowship and all that. But it was really stirring up in both of us last night that, like, I don't think that's what God is wanting us to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought we were going to go back in. And I'm just going to say this. I feel like the Lord's saying, I don't ever want you to go back in.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be weird. Am I saying that God doesn't want us to go to church? Well, yes. Kind of. There's a difference between going to church and being the church. You know, God can send you to churches, and you can, there's so many times where, like, even Paul, most of his letters were written from an isolated prison-type confinement.
Yeah. And
the Holy Spirit was using him to write all these letters to all these different churches in a place where he was just kind of just stuck there. No fellowship, no koinonia, you know, no church gatherings, no, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, for us, you know, we're constantly looking for that. You know, we're constantly like, okay, that's what God's going to do. That's what God's going to do. But it's almost like God's like saying, like, you need to just put that to death.
Yeah.
Like, I've already given you the vision of what I'm going to have you do. And you're on the journey to get there, which is kind of like, basically, we have like a house church vision.
Yeah,
really, is what we want to do. It's like, we're not trying to disassociate from the church. Not only that, we're not even trying to say that, you know, traditional church, go to church buildings type on Sunday, once a week, whatever. We're not even saying anything against that.
No,
we could, 100%. But that's just not our heart, nor is that the heart of God. You know? I could say all kinds of bad things about my kids right now. I could list all of their flaws. I could say bad things about us right now. I could list all of our flaws, okay, and at the end of that, what's going to happen? Nothing. You just know a bunch of flaws. Yeah. It's like there's no heart of God in it whatsoever. And so it's like, so I guess for us, getting that revelation, because it was like there was this pressure on us, and God's like, I want to talk about this.
Yeah. And
then as we talked about it and prayed about it and got things through or worked things through, and there was just like this sense of release, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. Like a relief, like, okay, we're not going the direction we thought we were going. God just wants to keep us doing what we're doing right now, and He's got destinations and oases. Is that a word? Oases? Anyway, He's got little things along the journey for us, you know, because God does have a home for us. Y'all know. And He does have a place for us. And He does, but it's like, even in that, God's been speaking to us lately about, even when you get the promise and the home and the stuff and all that stuff, you got to keep yourself on your toes. You got to keep yourself in the spirit. Mm-hmm. You know, don't settle. Because that's exactly what we did with the church that we went to. We were like, oh, okay, we're just going to settle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God's like, that's not what I had in mind.
Yeah.
You know? And we're like, oh, okay. Well, it's like, okay. It's like I said in my last video. Oh, we dropped anchor there? My bad. Let's pull it back up. Sorry. Yeah. We just thought that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
And God's like, that's okay, but you're hearing me now, right? And I'm like, yeah. And that's a problem and the surprise was there was a conflict there. You know, because we went the first Sunday and it was amazing. Yeah. And then the second Sunday, it was a completely different feeling.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And a lot of times for me, those feelings are just whatever. I put them aside and I just keep soldiering on because that's kind of what I do to a fault sometimes. But But yeah, so it was a bit of so the revelation, the surprise last night was a revelation.
Yeah, so we really last night were just praying a lot about the church, and I think that God just kind of showed us some revelation too of, sometimes He asks us to do things that we think He's doing for us, when really it could be He's sending us into something for other people. And just like, last night when we were talking, I was like, it is very possible, that God was just like, yeah, I wanted you to go that one time, and the impact that you're making
to the
there.
church.
Yeah, to the church. Yeah. The one time. And then, He could ask us to go to a different church another time. And the thing is, like, it's no different than when we first got here and we were going from place to place to place to place. And there came a point where we're just like, man, what are we doing? But the truth is, we're sowing seeds spiritually, and we're breaking the ground. There we go.
Yeah.
As we were going
charting
to all the different places.
Yeah.
Just like, plowing a field, they have to go through and break the ground, and then they go back, and then they, plant the seeds and water the seeds and all of that. And it's like, God has us everywhere we go because we have Christ in us. We leave a spiritual impact, and it's in the unseen. And I think that was one of the really important things we got last night, was that why did we go? It was for God. And we just felt like God was just like, that's it.
He was like, pause right there. Stop.
Like, that's it.
Put a period on the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
We did it for God. That's it.
Yeah. And it's like, we may not know, God could have us go again. He could have us never go again. Yeah. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, if God says go, you go. And you don't have to.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. And so I think so much of the time we like to know why. Well, Lord, why are we doing this? What impact am I making? So it's just, we have to remember that there is the unseen things that are happening in the spirit that we have no idea about. And we're not always going to see it in the natural right away. We may never see it. But we do have God, and we just need to continue to listen to Him, do what He says. We never know what kind of impact is being made, not only on our life, but the lives of those that are around us when God sends us. And I think that is so important. God will sometimes allow us. He can take back the veil, and we can see in the spirit what's going on in a place while we're there. Mm-hmm. But we just have to know, like, that even if we can't see that God is moving and working in the spirit, and He has us in places for a reason. Mm-hmm. And we just might not see that reason in the flesh. Yeah. And so it was just really awesome last night, because once again I felt like God was just really speaking to us on, really not jumping ahead and not jumping to conclusions, mm-hmm. but also just showing us that, I think really showing us again, this is what I have for you guys. I've already spoken.
Yeah, it's like you're already doing it, right?
Yeah, but just that, even before we moved here to Nashville, we had conversations about, are we going to be going to a church when we go there? What is that going to look like? And we both, even back then, were feeling like, I don't think we're going to be a part of a church in the traditional sense of going every Sunday and being involved in a church.
Which for me at the time was really concerning.
Yeah.
I was, we've had many, I was just like, I just don't see how that can be the Lord.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem biblical. It doesn't seem right. And it's like, you can make a whole video on the things that God did in the Bible that don't seem biblical. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Hosea, I want you to go marry this prostitute, this harlot. I was like, that's not the Lord. And it was the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Hosea, just so many different things along that line. It's just like, all right, Lord. And that's really, that's it. It's like the core of this whole video is like, you've got to know the Lord. You've got to be sensitive to his spirit. And you've got to walk in that humility of just like, okay, Lord, what are you really saying? What do you want me to do? Let me tell you something. Humility also leads you to work, because there's a lot of work that goes on in here and up here to where you're like, you're just pulling out all yourself, and you're just saying, Lord, all of your desires and dreams and hopes and expectations, all of that laid bare before the Lord, just like, Lord, what is it that you're saying? Because the only thing that will ever matter ever is what you're saying and how you're leading us.
Yeah.
And so it was a concern for me. I was just like, but God it was clear the spirit of peace within is the only confirmation you need.
Yeah.
Anything else after that just adds to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're wrong, then God will let you know by that same spirit of peace. But I just knew, that this is the direction God wanted us to go way before we moved here.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, back then too, we had just this idea of, having people, meeting together in our home, but that we were all from different backgrounds. We were all from different churches, or, it wasn't like we all go to the same church, and so we're having small group together. It was very much just a very dynamic kind of group. But all of us were, in this same place of just going after the Lord and believing him for like huge things. Mm-hmm. And so once again, God just kind of brought that back, like, hey, yes, I might ask you to be going to these churches, but that's not saying, oh, this is where I want you to be planted. And the truth is, he is planting us, and he's shown us where he's going to plant us. He's said, if we're being planted, we are being planted in our home. Like, that's has always been the picture of him planting us in our home, in our garden. And
it is a new and unusual thing.
Yeah.
It really is. When God says, I'm doing a new thing, he ain't joking.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, Lord, this doesn't seem right, but it is. It's what God's doing,
Yeah, and I had something else I think maybe would give a good picture. I'm pretty sure I used this example in the video that we did not upload, so
it'll be fresh.
So hopefully it'll be fresh. If I have used it before,
just stick it in the microwave, heat it up a little bit.
But we were actually watching these videos about, or just one video, and it was about like how your brain develops and
childhood development stuff.
And so there's two forms of thinking. There's concrete thinking, and then once you go further along, you can start thinking the abstract thinking. Mm-hmm. And I really just kind of take the comparison of what we see here on Earth physically with our own eyes, and just how we think and process things. That really, man's ways are the concrete thinking.
Very much.
Whereas God's ways, the spirit it's very abstract compared to our thinking. Because
it's almost like a combination of both. I think that's what makes it so crazy.
Yeah.
It's like because God, he operates off of principles. Mm-hmm. Those principles are concrete. But within the structure of those principles is him doing all kinds of crazy stuff that's just like, that doesn't even seem right.
Yeah. And so it's like, and that's really where faith comes in. Mm-hmm. And faith really seen, if you think of it in concrete, abstract, you can think of it as, what we have here on earth and the limitations that we have to think outside that and think God, who has no limits. And there are no limitations on what he can and can't do. That's where miracles come into play. God, his power and his might, it doesn't matter. If God Jesus walked on water, well, he was defying gravity. Like, for us, that's a law.
That's a concrete principle right there.
The law of gravity. It doesn't matter, what comes up must come down. Like, if you walk on water and you're heavier than water, you're going to sink. But Jesus walked on water. And so it's very much...
How did that even work? I mean, what did that look like? I just really want to know. Like, sidebar.
And so I just think that we have to remind ourselves that, that God works so differently. And that's why, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 is so important, of not leaning on our own understanding, but trusting the Lord. And again, it's like when God is asking us to do a thing, a lot of times we can just immediately start leaning on our own understanding. It's like, oh, God said for us to go to church. Oh, well, I know what this means, especially if you've already done, you've already gone to church before, or you've already
done church for 20 plus years,
even it could even be business ventures. It's like, oh, well, I know how to do this. So if God's like, hey, I want you to go start this business, and
or
it's
homeschooling.
Like, yeah, or homeschooling.
Like, I mean, we're back to homeschooling. Okay, cool.
I know how this works, but God is like, no, if I want you to take what I say, but still lean completely on me, because I am doing a new thing, and this is different, and so it's like, if it's okay, I'm going to do a business venture. Well, Lord, what is it that you are saying? What direction do you actually have in mind, rather than, okay, I'm going to go take that and go, or with the homeschooling, that's actually a really big thing for me. I have a background in education, and I just love it, as far as the learning and all the fun.
You have a dual degree in education. Yeah.
And so that is really an area for me that God has been working on for years now. Oh my God. But it's still something that...
To bend you.
Yeah,
to kind of make it, not to break you, but make you more flexible.
Yeah. Because the truth is, who knows what is the best for my children? God. And I think, Jesus. And that's continuing to lean on God, lean on His understanding rather than mine, or what other people are saying about my situation. And oh my gosh. And so that's so important.
That's a trigger point for me right there.
With everything in our life,
other people,
is that we just are leaning on the Lord rather than ourselves and what we're thinking. And also just that, when God says a thing, it goes back to that daily bread. We need to say, like, okay, this is what God is saying for today. This is, and I'm always thinking about, even with like Jesus, one of his first miracles recorded was when he was at the wedding in Cana, and his mom comes up and is like, hey, we need some more wine. And Jesus is like, it's not my time. But then he goes and he actually does it. And I really think it's like, well, was Jesus listening to the Spirit, or was he not? Like, what was he doing? And I think that's just, for us, we need to be aware that God could say, oh, it's not your time yet. But then turn around and it's like, okay, now it is. And it's like, wait, I thought, and I think we're very much like concrete thinkers in a lot of ways, of just like, but you said this, so that must mean it applies all the time. And
what's interesting about that? Can I pause and interrupt?
Yeah.
I don't even think, I consider myself someone who really is passionate for the Lord. You as well. I don't even think I could handle that the way Jesus handled that. Mm-hmm. I would have been all kind of confused. I would have had all kind of questions. Be like, okay, Lord, you're saying or it's almost like a sense of like, if I said, no, that's not my time, and then, okay, now it's my time. I don't think I could have handled it as well as Jesus did, because, there is that. I may have to edit this part. Because as I'm saying this, I may not edit it, actually. This could be beneficial. As I'm saying it, the Lord's reminding me of when, or like the thing that started me on the journey to meet you. Because a totally unexpected connection started talking to me. He's like, "So, Devin, when are you getting married? Are you gonna get married ever? You're 36. You know what I mean? It's like you're 35." And I was like, you know what? And it was just like that. It was like, no, it's not my time. You know, I'm just waiting on the Lord. You know, I'm just gonna wait for Him to, you know. And it was that conversation that God was using to say, "Hey, it is your time. Come on, let's go." So it was like, it was that wedding, that situation that the Holy Spirit was using to have Jesus, "Hey, no, it is your time. Come on, let's do this."
Yeah.
You know? And so, I don't know, maybe the Lord just interrupted my interruption with a correction.
Yeah.
And he
That's
was
how
like,
it works.
he was like, well, you do remember that time that, you know, I sent you on that journey. And it was just like, and I guess maybe the Lord was just trying to show me that you handled it fine.
Yeah.
Because right away, I was just like, oh man, I think this is, because I could tell that she was talking. This is not a person that I would expect to be hearing from God and then ministering to me by the Spirit.
Yeah.
I'm just be honest with you. That's not. I did not expect it. Not that I was saying that she was spiritually underwhelming or anything like that. It's just I wasn't expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And here's the Lord just doing this thing, and I'm just like, wow, okay, all right. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and embrace it. Let's see what happens. Miracle. My miracle. Almost 10 years later. This Saturday.
It'll be 10 years from when we met.
On 6/16.
Awesome.
10 years we will have known each other. Wow.
So crazy.
That's a Selah.
It really is.
Okay, on with the video.
We have to be reminded that God is ever moving. And I think so much of the time, you know, we get these, it's like we hear from the Lord and it's like, okay, that's it. Like,
it's like, okay, I got it. You take the ball and you run.
It's like,
you're running the wrong direction.
Yeah, I just...
That's the opposing team's goal.
I did give you the ball, but you didn't hear the rest of it. Like, oh my gosh, like...
Oh my gosh, Joa does that all the time.
I was just going to say our son.
Joa.
You know, it's like we start to give him the instruction and he starts going before we finish, and then he gets to a point and he's just standing like, oh, what was this?
Listen, you can say this to Joa. Hey, Joa, can you take this to... And boom, he's off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
bro, you don't know.
He just took it and he started running, literally. And it's just like, where are you going? I'm Joa, buddy, where are you going? Well, you told me to take this and put it away. I never said that.
Yeah. See, that's it's such a good example of we take something we've heard from the Lord and we put in what we believe God is going to say.
Yeah.
And so then we just go.
And he's just on cruise control most of the time. Because really, he's like, you're distracting me from my TV show. I'm just going to go put this away like I know you want me to so I can get back to my show.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's just like, no, Bob, I wanted you to take it and you do something else with it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so like... I think that, you know, it's just be aware of those places in your own life where you can easily take what God has said and try and start running with it without really knowing what it is He's saying. And all it takes, you know, last night really it was just like, okay, Lord, let's just rewind a bit.
Well, because we were acknowledging that God was working something there.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother video right there, being yielded to the Spirit and acknowledging when you really feel like there's an uneasiness. Mm-hmm. It's like, what is that uneasiness? I'm just going to stop life right now and look at you and just be like, Lord, what's going on there? What's going on there? And then He can speak to it.
Yeah. A
lot of times we keep going headlong into damage and destruction and unnecessary pain because we didn't stop and just like, whoa, there's something's wrong here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and so it's just, all it is just, you know, acknowledging Him and and that's what it says. Proverbs 3:5-6. It's like, acknowledge Him in all your ways, you know, and He is going to direct your path.
Yeah.
You know, it's that being humble before the Lord, asking Him, seeking Him for the direction, and He will give it. So just, you know, acknowledging God in all our ways, and He will make our path straight. And that's really where it's at. And when God does ask us to go somewhere, we don't need to know the reason why all the time. We just need to know. I mean, yeah, we can ask and we can try and seek for insight. Right. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's like, why did you go? It's for God. And that's it.
There you go.
It's for God.
It's for God.
So I hope that this video is encouraging to you guys.
Yeah.
We were really greatly encouraged by the Lord last night, and so we just wanted to share that with you. And I pray that you guys are experiencing just the love of God this week, that He does give you surprises. And revelation, and just a deep comfort and just joy in the Spirit.
Yeah. And if you're new to the channel, if you're a consistent subscriber, or you watch our videos, you already know what I'm getting ready to say. But if you're new to the channel, I just wanted to let you guys know that we do operate currently in this stage of our life off of offerings, kind of like a general ministry will do. And so we would ask you to consider partnering with us. Just pray about it, see if the Lord says yes or no. But we always want to just thank those who have already been supporting us. And just you guys are awesome. And if you want to support us, we just there's a PayPal link below. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah. Announcement end.
So until next time, guys, we love and appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
And until next time, we will see you later.
Until the next time, we're coming at you.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Woo, it's hot up in here. It's time to turn the AC back on.
Yes.
Bye.